controlling the controllables, let's go to something that is uncontrollable, and that is a revival. Now, it brings me so much joy to be able to talk about this. When we talk about ministry leaders, we don't always have a positive story to share, unfortunately, but it warms my heart that we have yet another positive topic to talk about with our ministry leaders in talking about this revival that's happening in Asbury University. It's just amazing to see it. It's been happening for now a number of weeks now, I think it is now. I forget how many consecutive days it's been happening, but what I actually want to talk about is, and actually, Dr. Rod, you obviously being in university, and you've been CEO of a higher learning institution as well, and vice presidents and all this sort of stuff. You're a professional academic. This revival is amazing. From your pastor, with wearing your pastor's hat, this is amazing. Now put on your higher education CEO hat. The president has had to now shut down this revival that's been happening for, I think, a couple of weeks or something like that, however long it's been happening for. He's had to make this decision to shut it down. It's been this 24-hour revival that's just this worship event that's been happening. And it's literally streets and streets. Like the whole town has been shut down because people have been traveling there. It's just packed. And he's had to make the decision for the betterment, I think that's the right word, for the students' education, that they have to stop the 24-hour services and limit the timing of it and everything like that, and looking at moving it off-site somewhere so that the university can go back to universitying, right, to educating its people, which is its purpose. Dr. Rod, how do you balance that? It's a Christian university. You're a leader. You're seeing this incredible move of God, but you have a responsibility to your students to make sure that they're still being educated and going through their courses. They don't fall behind. How do you wrestle with that idea in making that decision to stop a revival?
Wow, that's a real toughie. Of course, I've been following this with great interest. It started on the 8th of February, and I did see I haven't seen the full address by the president of Asbury University to the student body. But my understanding is the primary motivation wasn't so much internal matters to do with the university, but the fact that the town in which Asbury is situated is a small town, population of 6,000. And the town itself just could not cope with the very large numbers of people who were coming in from outside who wanted to be part of what was happening in the chapel. It was happening in the chapel at Asbury, which looks to me to have a capacity of just a few hundred, maybe 300, 350 people. It could be a little bit more than that. So I think the big dilemma was how do we behave as good citizens in our community? I have heard interviews with students and with academic staff, and the staff have been accommodating students by giving them extensions on assignments and giving them leave passes from class and offering makeup classes. So I think the whole thing has been managed very, very well. There's also been a strong desire on the part of the leaders, and the leaders have actually been students, and staff have been very supportive and sort of in the background. But they've taken great care that this doesn't become a big media event. And look, they haven't really been open to the leaders of the big, well-known ministries coming in and taking the microphone, so to speak, although many have visited and just sat and received as part of this revival.
Yeah, actually, I thought that was quite an interesting leadership decision, that I saw reports of there was a lot of famous worship leaders and mega church pastors and people from people that have big name and, let's say, celebrity status were offering their services to come and be a part of this. And they said, thanks, but no thanks, because we want this to be about God, not about the name, a celebrity name. So I think that's quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, I've been privy to some private communications as well, which I wouldn't publicise them, but it gives me great confidence that this is genuine and that the leaders have done all they can to ensure that nothing really kind of takes the glory away from God, shall we say. They've been very, very careful, and I have great respect for them. When I first saw the president speaking to the church body, I guess my heart sank a little, but as he explained the reasons, I felt, no, look, they're trying to be good citizens within their local community. And I don't think they're shutting down the revival per se.
No.
What they're doing is they're sort of changing, if you like, the public face of the revival.
Yeah.
And the other point, which I think is well worth making, is that there are little fires of revival breaking out in many, many different parts of the United States and different parts of the world.
Yeah.
There has been an ongoing, I guess we would call it a revival, not too far from where I live, actually, on the Sunshine Coast here in Queensland. I was listening to an itinerant preacher just a few days ago. He said that he'd got recent reports of amazing things happening in the Netherlands and in other European countries. And look, the proportion of people who are regular churchgoers in the Netherlands and other European countries is very low. I mean, it's about 15%, way below what it is in Australia, and we're about half what it is in the United States. So marvellous things are happening all over the world. So I wouldn't see this really, it's not shutting down a revival. It certainly is changing the nature and the expression of that revival. But if you're looking for revival, what I would say to you as a pastor is look in your own backyard. and I can say this as a pastor in our own church. We're a small congregation. The last 2 Sundays have been very different. In fact, 2 Sundays ago, I abandoned altogether the idea of delivering a sermon. Our pre-service prayer went way over time, and I felt that was important because we were really experiencing the presence of God in a way that we hadn't experienced since the church was planted. Our worship time went way over time. And really, I just, when my own contribution at the end of the day was to share a little about what was happening in Asbury and some other Christian universities. This was a couple of weeks ago now. And then we took communion. And then this Sunday just passed. Our prayer time went a little bit over time, but again, we just really sensed a connection with the Lord that we hadn't really experienced up until the previous week. We had a long worship, and I'd more or less prepared for that. I did a short sermon. Again, we took communion, and I talked about these fires of revival that are breaking out, it seems, all over the world. Yeah. So there's something happening, Craig. And, I think for a small community, you know, their accommodation houses couldn't deal with the issue there. They couldn't manage the very long queues. There were simply too many people in the small town. But they've changed the public face of the revival. I don't think they've shut it down. But look, honestly, can I just encourage people, don't jump on a plane and go and see it happening somewhere else. Be open to the Lord bringing revival in your own backyard because it's happening.
Yeah, because I don't know about your God, but my God isn't restricted to a physical location. He kind of is this, he's omni, isn't he? I think he's not uni. He's omni, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So yeah, like, and Jesus said, "You have not because you ask not." Right? Like ask for the revival to happen. I think that's the point from this that I kind of take from this is, yes, you're right. He's not shutting it down. I said that as a bit of a
That's what the media is saying.
Yeah,
the media is saying that, Craig. But with respect, I think they're wrong.
Yeah,
I just don't think they've read the situation correctly.
And I just
but God isn't shutting revival down.
No. I think that's our opportunity, right? It's like, no, it's not shutting down. It's now's our opportunity for it to spread, for it to disperse, all those people to now take it back to their hometowns, for you and I to pray that we get a sense of that from wherever, because God's moving and he's not limited to a location, but he is limited by our open or closed hearts, so that's what limits revival. It's whether our hearts is your heart open for a revival in your business? There may be things you're believing for in your business. I'm not saying you break out into a worship session in your business. I mean, maybe if you have that sort of a relationship, great, go for it. But if you don't, maybe just turn your office, your personal office into an anointed space and ask for revival there, and start seeing people saved in your business, people stressed, just praying for people's stress to be minimized. Because let's be honest, like coming out of COVID, like we're now starting to see yes, there was a lot of bad things happen, but we're actually starting to see the stats, and we'll probably talk about this in coming weeks. It was one of the topics I was possibly going to talk about, but there's a lot of things happening. We know that people are struggling nowadays. People that don't have Christ as their foundation, they are struggling. They're stressed. They're worried. They got pressures. Pray for their release from that control. Pray for their release from that stress and anxiety, and just start seeing a revival happen. Maybe it's new. And I declare this over your business. And maybe you've been looking for some new staff, and maybe the revival is going to be some new good staff members in your business. Maybe the revival is going to be some new clients that are going to come in and revive, your bottom line, but also they're going to be a great joy to work with and really harness your gifts and your purpose. Maybe revival can happen in so many ways. Just believe that there is going to be a revival around you as long as you keep your heart open. That's probably a good place to leave that, unless you have something else to share on that, Dr. Rod.
Oh, look, I could share for a long time, but I think it might put too many people to sleep. But no, let's move on.
I agree.
Yeah.
There could be so much, but it's just amazing to see it. Move of God is happening now. But we always pray for a revival to come. Stop praying for a revival. It's here. It is happening, and you can have it where you are too. Hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership podcast. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If it challenged your leadership or inspired you in some way, put a comment below. And if you want to watch the full episode or more content like this, check out our channel. And hey, consider subscribing while you're there.